So we're back with another athlete story. Today is the first ever sibling episode I've ever done. We've got Jenna, we've got Joe. Joe was one of my college teammates. I think Jenna, you're a couple years younger than us, so I don't really know if you were in college at the same time, but we're going to dig into your stories today. And I'm going to start with Joe. Same way that I start with everybody else. Tell us where you guys are from, what high school you went to, and kind of give us a little bit of background story on you guys.
Yeah, so we're from Mountaintop, Pennsylvania, and we went to Crestwood High School, both of us. Graduated from there. I proceeded to play at Wilkes for football, and played all 4 years there, and definitely learned a lot from that piece of it. But played football for 14, 15 years. Played basketball through high school. Won three district titles out of 4 years, and then played baseball all the way up until freshman year of high school because I had to make a decision. A lot of commitments that end up coming through with playing varsity basketball as a freshman and starting football as well. So it's a little bit about mine, but yeah, it was definitely a learning experience going through and playing college football, that's for sure.
And Jenna, you played field hockey. What was that like growing up in a house with two other brothers? You guys have another brother with two guys that are essentially combat sport athletes, and then you're the field hockey player. What was it like growing up in that house?
Yeah, so it's funny because obviously I grew up with two older brothers, and it was always, I was like the Tom girl, like always playing sports or getting chased around by my brother's friends. We played, ice hockey in our backyard in the pond, and they're going at it. And me and Kylie, my neighbor across the street, she actually got me into field hockey. I was going to run cross country. She's like, no, like you need to pick up this stick. And so we played in her front yard. I instantly fell in love with it. I was like, I'm going out. It was literally practice the next day. I'd never touched a stick before that. And I loved it. Went out and played junior high. And then obviously through high school, won many district championships. And Crestwood was known for their field hockey program. They bred a lot of D1 athletes, D2, D3. The coach was a legend, basically. And then went on to play at Penn State, and it was the best 4 years of my life. So it's a good time.
That's pretty awesome. You guys, and I know what that's like. I have siblings. We're obviously not that close in age. My closest sibling to me is 8.5 years apart. So we didn't really have that camaraderie, I guess. I was mostly the 8-year-old kid trying to tag along with the 16-year-old brother and getting beat up and stuff like that. So we didn't kind of have that same dynamic. But Joe, for you, what was it like for you growing up with just being surrounded by athletes, and you guys are all very close in age? Was there a lot of competition between all of you, or were you guys motivated by what you saw your sister do or what you saw your brother do, while you're playing?
So I would say it was more between my brother and I than Jenna and I. Two different, obviously completely different sports, different accolades, different, guys didn't play field hockey until like her junior year of high school, but it wasn't something that we kind of tit for tat with. It was more with Derek and myself. Whether it was playing pickup basketball 21, even between my father, my brother, and me, things would get heated. There would be conversations because we just were very competitive overall, and that was something I think my father instilled in us, all three of us, just having that competitive nature and never giving up for something, even if it was just a pickup game.
Yeah.
And that, he played for Delaware Valley. Mom was a swimmer. So there was just that you knew you were going to go do something at some point in sports. It was just a matter of what. And yeah, we just always had some sort of competitive, even if we, there was actually a story when it was snowing, we played tackle football with her and Kylie.
Mm-hmm.
It was boys versus girls. And, that it just instilled some toughness in her as well, because she had two older brothers that saw her as a little brother in a sense, because we didn't know that it's like, yeah, she's a girl. No, she got the same stuff that we got.
Yeah. That's interesting, considering, she just said she's the tomboy of it all. And you guys didn't look at her as your little sister. She was just your sibling, and it didn't make any difference. Jenna, for you, when you're playing tackle football with your brothers and you realize that they just see you as a sibling, how would you say that shapes and molds your competitive fire as, you're going from playing a tackle football game in the snow to then playing field hockey with, all girls? How different is that? And what does that kind of do to your competitive fire when you're in like true competition?
Yeah, I mean, that definitely made me, I would say, like, tougher. Like, there was times where I'm short, so I'm like 5'3", and there's girls out there who are 6 foot, like, built, and I'm like a little thing like at their waist, and that didn't really like stop me as far as like, oh my God, they're so much bigger than me. It kind of like was like, hey, like I'm tough, like I can do this. And that, going back to like growing up with my brothers and watching them in sports and playing with them in the snow and doing all of that, made me tougher. And in competition, that just made me basically more competitive and wanting to have more confidence, like, hey, I can go around her, or I can, beat her because I'm tougher. I can do this. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Joe just talked about the father-son dynamic of it with, Joe and Derek and your dad. But Jenna, for you, what's that father-daughter dynamic where is he telling you the same things that he's telling Joe and Derek? Is he treating you the same way? Or is it one of those where he's like, okay, this is my daughter, I got to be a little bit different with her than I am with them? Or is it all just the same?
I think it's definitely the same, but different in a way, like in not a weird way, but like he might have been tough around them, but he was just as tough on me. And he would offer the same advice. Like, we grew up giving 110% and working hard. That's how you move up. It's not just things aren't handed to you. We grew up in that atmosphere where it was like, you give 110% and you always work hard and never give up, and things will work out for you. And my parents were always big supporters of us. They would come to all of our games, all our practices. I mean, I don't know how many hours and weekends and nights they'd give up doing whatever they wanted to do to come and watch us. I mean, watching 3 kids in similar age groups, that it was just typical for them. And my dad, he built me a field hockey goal in my yard, so I could go out there and practice whenever I wanted to, and it speaks volumes. So
Yeah. Joe, you had Derek, who was playing, similar sports as you. So, you guys could go out, throw the ball, whatever else. But Jenna's playing field hockey. Are you helping her get better? Your dad builds her a goal. Are you going out and doing the best that you can with the lack of field hockey skills that you have? Are you helping your sister get ready for games? Or did you just kind of say, I have no idea what I would be doing or how I could help her, so I'm just going to let her do what she does?
I won't say I did it enough. Looking back, like, I wish I'd probably done more. But then again, like, whenever she was out in the field hockey end of things, I was maybe shooting hoops, or doing something right around there. She had Kylie. So Kylie was literally 100 yards from us that had the same deal. So they would and she was a goalie too, so that was even better. So I wasn't putting on the pads and dealing with that rock hard ball shot at. That would not happen. Especially if she got older, that thing got more and more vicious. But maybe if we were out at the turf or something like that, and Derek and I just got done with our workout or whatever, we might go help her a little. But field hockey was definitely something that was out of my realm of skills.
Now you just kind of alluded to it, Joe, as she got more vicious. It was the phrase you just used. Did you see your sister's competitive fire growing, and could you what was that like watching her gain kind of a new perspective competitive wise?
Yeah, so we're 4 years apart in school. So when I was a senior, she just started her freshman year of college. So when she was a senior, I didn't miss a single game for her field hockey. I think I maybe missed 2 games because I couldn't get there because of traveling or whatever. But the difference from seeing her freshman year in the Big Ten playoffs to her senior year in the Big Ten, there was no fear in her. And I mean, she actually has alluded to it a little bit, but there was an interview done, and her and Kylie both kind of gave Derek and I credit for that, for not letting up on them ever. I mean, I still remember there was a point when she was playing Michigan in Penn State, and the girl was 6'2", and she was thick. And Jenna did not back down. I mean, even she was sneaky enough. She learned stuff from Derek and I that you could do things when referees or umpires weren't looking.
Yeah, I think we went over those during DB drills. So
yeah, I mean, you got to get a little inch, right? So she actually got this girl and cross-checked her, just gave her a little nudge right in the lower back, like, I'm not going anywhere. You can push and shove all you want, but I'm not doing that. And it's like, yep, that's my sister. That's nice to see that, to see like all the beatings and, bullying through when she was younger paid off for her now.
Yeah.
It's difficult because you're like, that's my baby sister. Like, I want to get in there, but then no, she can hold her own. Trust me.
Yeah. Now for Jenna, for you, when you see your brothers going through the college recruiting and what schools they're looking at and things like that, what types of, and obviously, there's a difference, Joe and I played Division III, you played Division I. So there is certainly a difference in recruiting and in packages and what coaches can tell you and everything else. Right. But when it comes to recruiting, going to college is going to college. You pull different pieces of information from everywhere. As you're watching your brothers commit to Wilkes and Del Val and looking at what they're doing, are you pulling pieces from them off their recruiting trips? Are you listening to admissions and coaches? What types of things are you getting? Because you're getting to kind of see it before they're starting to recruit you even harder. So what type of things are you pulling from your older brothers as they're going through this recruiting process?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I mean, yeah, it's different for baseball and football, like recruiting wise. I mean, I definitely relied on like my coach. Not that like my brothers didn't help me or anything, but I was lucky enough to have a really good high school coach that knew the recruiting process, and she knew coaches, and she knew how to approach things in the right way and the right pace for me or another teammate. So I relied heavily on my coach and also Joey and Derek as far as like advice of what to do when you're there and how to interact with the teams and what you like should and shouldn't be doing, or what's comfortable for you. And so I really relied on my coach for that. And it's totally different again for field hockey versus baseball and football, but they started recruiting like my freshman year, and I was like, oh, I'm not ready for this. Like, not like it's great and everything, but I really took the time myself to do what decision I wanted to do and what was comfortable for me. So
Now, did you hear a lot of athletes, especially athletes today, with social media and how there's highlight tapes everywhere, and and Joe, you're a coach now too, so I know you hear it, but like, and this question's for Jenna, was it the athlete mentality is D1 or bust, is what a lot of these athletes think. Like, I have to go D1. I need to be on Sports Center. I mean, Joe and I can attest that you don't need to go D1 to be on Sports Center. We did it, right? So, you know what I mean? So was that your mentality? You said you were starting to get recruited as a freshman. Was your mentality at that point that you were gonna go Division I, or was it something else? Because like I said, you had brothers that weren't going D1. So you knew that the competitiveness doesn't, it doesn't just stop at Division I. You knew that there were multiple layers to it. Did you have that mindset that you were going D1, or was it, I just want to go to college and play?
Honestly, in the beginning, it was like I wanted to go to college and play. I really honestly didn't even know that I was going to go D1 at that point. I just knew I wanted to keep playing. And then when I got into the USA stuff, I was like, I want to keep continuing playing hockey. And if I went D1, maybe I could play for the US team or go that route. So yeah, it was never really, I just wanted to play in college.
So when did those D1 thoughts start creeping in? You said you weren't ready for recruiting as a freshman, but when does that start happening?
I think the more and more I got letters and interest, I was like, maybe I am, like, my confidence kind of grew. I was like, maybe I can do this. And so yeah, that's when it started sinking in, like, I could do this. So
do you start feeling pressure because of the letters that are coming in and the attention that you're getting?
I mean, yeah, there was definitely pressure there, but I always tried to stay level-headed and knew that I had time and everything would work out. Like, I didn't want to make a decision right away. There were definitely schools that were pushing, by sophomore year, they wanted a commitment, and I was just like, I think I waited till like the last minute that I could, commit to somebody. So, yeah, there were definitely many weekends and long trips and many schools. And so it was a very long process.
Yeah. What were the final 5 schools, I guess? I think you get 5 visits. What were your final 5?
Yeah. So I went to Louisville, Kentucky, Penn State. I visited Syracuse, Duke, and Maryland was in there. So I mean, the top 2 were really University of Louisville and Penn State. Yeah. And it was funny because Penn State was actually like my very last visit. I went to, I don't know how many schools, but it was like every time I left a school, my dad was like, "What did you think?" I'm like, "I don't know." I had so much trouble trying to decipher, but there were definitely schools where I got there and I was like, this is not going to work. Like this, I immediately knew it just didn't give me the level of comfort, or it didn't feel like it was me. So
yeah. What was it about Penn State then? Was it the comfort level? Was it something academic? Was it, the USA part of it? What was on that checklist that got all those boxes checked and, you signed with Penn State?
Yeah. So the main thing, I had a few priorities that I wanted to make sure that I hit. I knew I wanted to be close enough where my family could come see me play. And obviously the academics were Penn State. Everyone knows Penn State, and the networking that comes from that is like insane. So for me, it was about when I walked on campus, and obviously Kylie was there. It was comfortable with her, hanging out with the team. Everyone just seemed like genuine. Like I wasn't in Mountaintop, but like it was like that team atmosphere that like one team was our whole Penn State was like one team, we're together. And it really is just, it honestly, it felt like home. And I knew I wanted to go there. So it's funny because my dad and my brothers, and they're all like Notre Dame fans. And I was like, yeah, I'm never going to Penn State. Like, this is not going to happen. And here I was going to Penn State, and they wore that Penn State Feel Like a Shirt proud, and they were there. So
yeah, I can remember when you made your commitment. I remember talking to Joe about it, and I can honestly remember Joe talking about you going on trips and looking at different schools and stuff like that, and he was always like really, really proud of his sister. Mm-hmm. And I can honestly remember, and this is me being the great mentor that I was for Joe, is when he came in as a DB, when he gets assigned for me to look after him and Gunther. I use that against him sometimes when he's not doing what he says. I'm like, well, that's why your sister's the best athlete in the family. And I would say that to Joe, and it would get under his skin. And but even though like that got under his skin, he also loved it because he was more about you doing well than it was about him doing well. And that's why I wanted to talk to you guys, because I know the dynamic between the two of you. I've been around the two of you for a lot of years. And that's why I wanted to kind of pull these stories out of you, because I know what it was kind of like. I've been around your parents, right? And that's why I want to talk more about your mom now. You talked about your mom being a swimmer, and I know how chill your mom was when last time I saw her. So what, and this question is for you, Joe, as a competitor, and knowing that your mom was a swimmer, what was the things that your mom was saying? Not so much the things that your dad was saying, and how was it different?
Oh, well, mom was definitely more the mentality person. She played volleyball a little bit. She was kind of a mix of all. She actually I think she did field hockey a little bit too.
Yeah, a little bit in high school. Yeah.
So she was kind of a jack of all trades as well, but swimming was where she definitely kind of fell in love. And we all swam. There were some not good pictures going there, but we all swam. And when we were younger, but Derek definitely got that gene in terms of the water bug with swimming. And yeah, she actually got that opportunity when we all swam. That was her niche. She could really give us the advice when swimming and what to do. And she would push us. She would definitely push us and keep us on track with things. I'll still never forget this story, but I don't know, I think I was 8 or 9. I was not good at the butterfly, but my mom signed me up for the 100-meter IM, which means I got to do the butterfly. And I was not happy with her, but she's just like, listen, you can do it. Just get in the pool, get through it, and just whatever you do, don't stop. And, there was points in that race, like I just wanted to quit. And I just wanted to stop, get out of the pool and say, I'm never doing this again. But there she is walking up and down the pool, cheering me on. Every time I could hear her and get my head above water, I could hear her just say, keep going, keep going, keep going. You got this. Only 50 more meters, only 25. And I finished it. Yeah, I got DQ'd because I did actually touch the bottom of the pool, but I still finished it. And I still will always remember the fact that she put me in that race, knowing that, yeah, we needed points, but at the same point, I knew you were going to at least get through it. And definitely kind of shaped some things going down the road as well.
That's pretty cool, and my mom wasn't an athlete, so I didn't have that sort of thing, but my mom is kind of the safety blanket when we're in the car on the ride home and you missed an interception, or you didn't have, the best match that you thought, or whatever else. But I can tell you, in those moments where dad's not around, my mom was vicious, right? She's like, well, you're not going to get to the next level if you continue to compete like that, right? So it was like those small, subtle things. was that your mom's mentality? And this is for you, Jenna. Was that your mom's mentality towards you guys? Was she trying to be the safety blanket when she needed to, but she would get in your ear and probably get under your skin more than anyone?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, my mom's is very like quiet, like I am. But she has all the emotions inside of her, and she will tell you, like, I mean, there's so many games where or practices where I just like was sucking, and I was like, oh, this is a horrible game. And she was always that person that you can lean on. So was my dad, but like she just gave you that mom like reassurance, like it's gonna be all right, you're gonna get through this. And I mean, I bonded with her on how many road trips, and gosh, I don't know, but like we'd be singing in the car, and she just like would make it fun. And she was always that person to go to and lean on. She was always there for you. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty cool. Now, academically, there's always a student part of the student athlete.
Yes.
Academically, for you, Jenna, what's it like to balance being a Division I athlete when you get on campus with this new schedule, a new schedule of accountability where you have to go to class all on your own? I mean, you have teammates, things like that, but it's still, it's down to you. What's that balance like on that new level once you get to Penn State?
Yeah, it's I'll be honest, it's very hard, and it's very it's a big adjustment from high school to college. But I was lucky enough to have the resources behind all the academics. Like my freshman year, we had to go to study hall like 8 hours a week. So that's basically 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday. And if we're traveling, I mean, you gotta get that study hall in if you're traveling or not. So we always had the academic resources, and everyone else, like the team held each other accountable. And these days, Penn State field hockey team is like the highest GPA in the NCAA. Like it's nuts. So they really take pride in their academics, and it's very it's very obviously very hard. But once you get into a routine, you kind of learn like, hey, and I would say take more advantage of the resources that you have given to you, because it'll help you a lot.
Yeah. Joe, for you, obviously I was there for your transition into college, but when did that epiphany kind of hit of, okay, this is down to me. This is something that I need to do. It's not something that any of my teammates, coaches, or anything else. I need to kind of get on my horse and make it work. When does that happen for you?
That took me a while, actually. It was kind of during football. Football kind of took my priority. So honestly, school took a back seat, and that punished me severely going in my sophomore year, spring semester. I think that's when it kind of turned, because I was honestly almost out because of my grades. And at that point too, I had actually made the decision, because I wanted to continue to play football. So I went for engineering originally, and I just wanted to keep playing. So I transitioned into business, which actually kind of helped me in terms of the overall workload. But then I got in with KK, and he definitely kind of took me into the academic piece of things, because we were in a lot of the same classes. So he forced me to go into the library. And it was always one of those things where if you didn't walk out smelling like the library, you weren't in there long enough.
Yeah. I think we had a lot of meetings there.
Yeah. And that was the only way I could kind of get into the rhythm. I would honestly say the difference between Division I and Division III is Division III, it's more on your own. Mm-hmm. You don't have a lot of the academic resources like Division I athletes have, especially when you're traveling. I mean, she'd have tutors with her. We travel on that Friday night going out of Christopher Newport. We don't have nothing.
Yeah.
yeah, I get they're playing games through the week, but we have to go seek that stuff out on our own.
Mhm.
We have to have that internal talk of ourselves, like, yeah, I need help. So difference in the academic piece. And honestly, I mean, yeah, Penn State's definitely got the accolades. Wilkes doesn't, in the sense of it's not notability through the national region. But yeah, the same degrees. I mean, they both cost about the same. So
Yeah. Now we're to the end, and this is how I like to end each one of the sessions with any athlete that I speak to. And I'm going to start with Jenna. What is a piece of advice, whether it came from your mom on a road trip, or something you learned in those tackle football snowy days, or just learned throughout your career, that you take with you that you think the next generation should certainly know?
Yeah, I would say definitely when the tough times will make you stronger. You'll go through them, but at the end of the day, you'll look back and you'll say, wow, I'm glad I didn't give up. And just never lose sight of who you are. I would say just be you, and you can do it. That's it.
Joe, what piece of advice that came from, I don't know, maybe like a really cool mentor or something like that, that you could, kind of give? And I mean, you're a coach now. So what are some of those things that you tell these athletes that they should know?
yeah, so I mean, for me, when it's coming to colleges and actually choosing colleges and what you want to do, yeah, knowing what you want to do in your career is a good thing, but don't make that selection on your own, because things can change. Make a selection in terms of, like, if you like that school and you feel home at that school, go there. And I honestly always said, now go gen ed. Don't go in with that mindset of like, yeah, that's what I want to do, because how many people have changed degrees, and or changed schools because they don't hold that degree anymore. So for me, that was something I keep telling the kids now. But don't ever stop working on yourself. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations, because that's definitely makes you continue to grow. And honestly, for me, I do it now. But I always tell my players, I'm like, go find a deep, dark hole and just live there for a while. And that'll help mold you for what you're going to go through in life and even through your game. But football, sports teach you life lessons without actually going through life in a very short amount of time. You go through your highs and your lows. So, ride the highs and just keep riding through the lows.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. And, I'm glad that I was able to get you guys on here, because there's so much overlap with you guys growing up and living in the same house, but then there's so many things that are so different. And that's why I wanted to have a sibling episode. And I'm glad that you guys could come on and discuss these things with me. And, I'm not going to take up any more of your time, but I really appreciate you guys coming on. Hopefully we can all get together soon. Joe, I know you were just here, but I was completely tied up, but hopefully I can see you guys soon, especially your dad. Your dad was always a good time. So hopefully we can get together, but I appreciate it, guys. I really do. So thank you. I'm going to end this on Joe's wise words of, just grow up, essentially, and figure it out is really what it is. So I appreciate you guys. That's it.
All right. Thank you.